Let's dive into our first story of the day, and it's a big one. Joe Rogan has finally broken his silence and given fans a much-needed update on his retirement plans. The verdict? Everyone can breathe easy because he's not going anywhere anytime soon. That's right. The iconic UFC commentator has made it absolutely clear that stepping away from the microphone is not on his agenda for the foreseeable future. In fact, he went a step further and revealed that the only reason he'd even consider leaving the UFC is if his longtime friend and UFC CEO Dana White decides to step down. And here's the wild part. That's not just a casual comment. It's actually written into his contract. Rogan's relationship with the UFC has always been deeply tied to his friendship with Dana White. It was Dana himself who brought Rogan on board back in 1997, back when the UFC was struggling to gain mainstream traction. Over the years, the bond has only grown stronger, and Joe has repeatedly said that Dana's leadership is one of the main reasons he's stayed involved for so long. As long as Dana's at the helm, Rogan is fully committed to sticking around. But if Dana ever steps down, that might be the day Joe Rogan finally calls it quits on commentary. While Rogan is clearly happy with his role behind the mic, he's never been shy about voicing his concerns when something rubs him the wrong way. And that's exactly what happened during the UFC 314 broadcast. Rogan didn't hold back after witnessing what he described as blatant cheating in the octagon. He was fired up after seeing repeated fence grabs and eye pokes, making it very clear that the current system just isn't strict enough. According to him, these fouls should come with an automatic 1-point deduction. No warnings, no last chances, just instant penalties to keep things fair. But Rogan wasn't done there. In a recent podcast episode, he doubled down on his controversial takes, suggesting that MMA should go even further in pursuit of pure fighting. One of his more radical ideas, completely removing the cage. Yep, you heard that right. Rogan believes the cage interferes with the purity of hand-to-hand combat, allowing fighters to wall walk, pin opponents, or stall. He thinks fights would look very different and potentially more exciting without it. As always, Joe Rogan isn't afraid to stir the pot and spark debate. And whether you agree or not, one thing's for sure. He'll keep the conversation going. Now let's move on to some serious drama that's been shaking up the MMA world, and it involves none other than Islam Makhachev and Belal Muhammad. During a recent episode of the Russian MMA podcast NASA TV, co-host Suleiman Najbetsky, who happens to be a close friend and insider within Islam's camp, dropped a massive bombshell that's turning heads. According to Suleiman, there's been long-standing tension within Islam's team that fans had no idea about. While the public has always seen Islam and Belal as tight-knit allies and training partners, especially given their shared faith and connection to the Dagestani fighting culture, the reality behind the scenes is reportedly much more complicated. It all began heating up after Islam's dominant performance over Renato Moicano. Following that victory, both Islam and his manager began teasing a potential champion versus champion clash with Belal Muhammad as the potential opponent. That alone sent shockwaves through the MMA world. Fans were stunned. These weren't just two fighters. They were supposed to be brothers, teammates, part of the same inner circle that preaches loyalty above all. In Dagestani culture, loyalty to your team and your brothers is sacred. Fighters from that region have long been respected for never turning on one another. So the idea of Islam calling out Belal looked like a serious fracture in that unbreakable bond. But Suleiman wasn't done. He dug even deeper, revealing that the tension between Islam and Belal didn't just start recently. He claims the issues have been simmering for years, long before this potential superfight was ever mentioned. In fact, he described a heated personal exchange between the two fighters that apparently changed everything. From that moment, the relationship took a nosedive. And to make things even more intense, Suleiman says he spoke directly with Khabib Nurmagomedov about the situation. Khabib, once a friend and supporter of Belal, has now reportedly turned his back on him as well. This isn't some minor disagreement or a simple misunderstanding. According to Suleiman, this is a full-blown fallout fueled by ambition, pride, and power. Islam is looking to move up a weight class, and if Belal holds that belt now, so be it. Friendship won't stop him. The time for brotherhood may be over, and the gloves might come off. What was once a story of unity and respect has now turned into one of rivalry, ego, and broken trust. Now let's shift the spotlight to Belal Muhammad, who recently went full savage mode on Ilia Topuria. During a fiery no-holds-barred rant on a recent podcast appearance, the reigning welterweight champion didn't hold back when the topic of the featherweight champ came up. Topuria has been on a tear lately, trash-talking nearly everyone in the spotlight, but Belal was quick to shut it all down. Their beef isn't exactly new, but it's been slowly escalating over the past year, and things hit another level when Topuria dismissed Belal as a fake champ and boldly predicted that Belal would lose to Shavkat Rakhmonov at UFC 310. That comment struck a nerve, and Belal snapped back hard. He didn't just fire a few shots. He absolutely went in on Topuria's ambitions and persona. He mocked Ilia's dream of becoming a three-division champion, calling it delusional. Then he delivered one of his sharpest insults yet, branding Topuria the Georgian version of Colby Covington, suggesting that Ilia is all bark, no bite, and trying to build fame by running his mouth. He even accused Ilia of copying other fighters' trash talk, saying he's not original. He's just mimicking characters like Colby and Connor. The cherry on top, Belal said Ilia suffers from Napoleon syndrome, trying to act bigger and tougher than he really is. Even though a fight between the two is unlikely, since they are separated by two weight classes, the verbal warfare just keeps getting hotter. Things escalated even further when Topuria took another shot at Belal during an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, calling him a boring fighter with no entertainment value. Naturally, Belal clapped back during his interview with MMA Junkie. He didn't mince words. I think he's got little man syndrome. He's puffing his chest out, trying to act bigger than he is. He's not good at trash talking. He's not even good at talking. He's just playing a character. Belal went on to explain how the feud really started when asked about a hypothetical Islam versus Topuria matchup. He casually said, "Islam is a lot bigger. It'd be a bad matchup for Topuria." That simple statement lit the fuse. Ilia responded by saying, "You're not a real champion. You suck." Belal's response, "Okay, if you want beef, you got it. I'm not afraid to clap back, but let's be real. You're two divisions below me. There's nothing that's going to come from this. But if he wants to keep talking, we can keep going." And when asked if he thinks Topuria deserves a fight with Islam Makhachev, Belal shut that down immediately. No, he hasn't earned it. He needs to beat legit contenders, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, before even mentioning Islam's name. We're only scratching the surface here, with so many potential storylines and matchups brewing in the world of MMA. So, what do you think? Will Joe Rogan stick around until Dana White retires? Can Islam and Belal ever mend their differences? Is Ilia biting off more than he can chew by challenging Islam? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more daily MMA news.